There are some athletes whose names transcend their sport legends who leave such a profound mark that they redefine what greatness looks like. Michael Jordan was one of them. But was he truly as great as everyone says? Was he really the greatest of all time, or is his legacy exaggerated by nostalgia and highlight reels? Numbers and accolades tell part of the story, but the real answer lies in understanding the man behind the legend. So let's ask ourselves, how good was Michael Jordan really? To answer that, we need to peel back the layers and dig deep into his story, his challenges, triumphs, and the rare ability to make the impossible look routine. Michael Jordan wasn't supposed to be great. In fact, he wasn't even supposed to be tall. His family didn't boast towering heights. No one stood taller than 5 feet 9 inches. And as a high school sophomore, Jordan was just 5'11". He didn't make the varsity basketball team. Imagine being told at 15 years old that you weren't good enough. For most, it would have been the end of the road. For Michael, it was the spark. A sudden and unexpected growth spurt changed everything. By the end of high school, Jordan stood 6 feet 6 inches tall and paired his new height with raw athletic ability that ran in his family. His older brother, Larry, standing only 5 feet 8 inches, could dunk. That same natural athleticism, combined with an almost obsessive drive, turned Michael into a star. His senior year stats were jaw-dropping: 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. But let's not forget the polished superstar we all remember was still years away. When he got to the University of North Carolina, Jordan wasn't the phenom we know today. He averaged modest numbers as a freshman, playing behind established stars like James Worthy. But then came 1982. In the NCAA championship game, with the world watching, Jordan hit a game-winning shot against Georgetown. That moment didn't just win the title for North Carolina, it was the turning point in Jordan's life. In his own words, "That turned my name from Mike to Michael Jordan." Confidence skyrocketed. He began to evolve. Over the next 2 years, he became a complete player under legendary coach Dean Smith. By his junior season, Jordan was a consensus first-team All-American and the Collegiate Player of the Year. Yet, coming out of college, he wasn't seen as a sure thing. In the 1984 NBA draft, he was picked third, behind Hakeem Olajuwon and Sam Bowie. Let that sink in for a moment. From the very beginning of his NBA career, it was clear that Michael Jordan was special. By his third professional game, he had already scored over 30 points. Within 9 games, he hit 40. He didn't need time to adjust to the league. It was as though he'd been born to dominate the court. But it wasn't just his scoring ability that turned heads. Jordan was a force of nature. His speed was unmatched. His athleticism seemed almost otherworldly. And then there was his vertical jump, a gift that defied gravity. It wasn't just about putting points on the board, it was about how he did it. He attacked every play with a relentless intensity, leaving defenders flailing in his wake. In his rookie season, Jordan averaged an incredible 28.2 points per game, earning him Rookie of the Year honors. The league had never seen anything like him. But here's the thing. Individual greatness doesn't always translate to team success. While Jordan was lighting up the stat sheets, the Chicago Bulls were far from championship contenders, and this is where the challenges began. Jordan's early years in the NBA were defined by a paradox. He was individually dominant, but his teams couldn't win when it mattered most. Time and again, the Bulls fell short in the playoffs, and critics began to ask tough questions. Was Jordan a ball hog? Did his scoring obsession hurt the team? Could he ever win a championship? The criticism wasn't entirely unfounded. Jordan was by nature a scorer. He believed rightly so that he could take over any game. But basketball isn't a solo sport. No matter how good one player is, they need help. And in those early years, the Bulls lacked the supporting cast needed to compete with elite teams. Things began to change in the late 1980s. The addition of Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant gave the Bulls the talent they desperately needed. But it wasn't just about new teammates. Jordan himself began to grow. Under head coach Phil Jackson, he embraced the triangle offense, a system built on ball movement and teamwork. It wasn't easy for Jordan to let go of the ball, but he realized that trusting his teammates would make the Bulls stronger. By 1991, everything clicked. The Chicago Bulls weren't just contenders, they were unstoppable. Jordan had refined his game to a razor's edge, blending athleticism with intelligence. He wasn't just a scorer anymore, he was a defender, a passer, a leader, and he had learned how to win. In the 1991 finals, the Bulls faced Magic Johnson and the Lakers. After dropping Game 1, Chicago swept the next 4 games. Jordan's mid-air acrobatics, like the iconic hand-switch layup, left the world in awe. Finally, the championship monkey was off his back. The next 2 years brought more of the same. Jordan led the Bulls to consecutive titles in 1992 and 1993, dominating opponents with his blend of skill, strength, and swagger. But it wasn't just the wins that defined him, it was how he won. The shrug after hitting 6 threes against Portland, the 55-point outburst against Phoenix. Jordan wasn't just the best, he made sure everyone knew it. Then, at the peak of his powers, Jordan walked away. After the tragic murder of his father, his passion for basketball faded. For 18 months, he chased a dream his father had shared a career in baseball, but while he was gone, the NBA moved on without him. When he returned in 1995, he wasn't quite the same. The Bulls were eliminated by the Orlando Magic in the playoffs, and questions swirled. Had Jordan lost his edge? Was his time over? Those questions were answered emphatically the following year. In 1996, Jordan led the Bulls to a 72-10 record, the best in NBA history at the time. With Dennis Rodman and Steve Kerr joining the fold, Chicago was a juggernaut. Jordan captured his 4th championship, dedicating it to his late father. The next 2 seasons cemented his legacy. The 1997 finals brought the legendary flu game, where Jordan, sick and dehydrated, scored 38 points to will his team to victory. And in 1998, in what seemed like a Hollywood ending, Jordan hit the game-winning shot in Game 6 against the Utah Jazz. 6 championships in 8 years, 6 finals MVPs, the perfect record in the finals. It was a legacy unmatched in the history of the sport. So, how good was Michael Jordan really? To answer that, let's break his career into 3 acts. In his early years, Jordan was an unstoppable force of nature, the most electrifying athlete the league had ever seen. In the first three-peat, he became a complete player, blending skill with strategy. And in the second three-peat, even as age crept in, he proved that intelligence, leadership, and sheer will could win championships. If you enjoyed this deep dive into MJ's legacy, make sure to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories about the legends who changed the game.